know, and I forgive you. There you go. All right, welcome to the meeting, everyone. Let me share my screen again. First of all, thank you to Jeff for coming in at literally the last moment. I was in ER on a bed, sending him a text with passwords and stuff like that, saying, yeah, you're going to have to do this. I think I've had a heart attack. I'm in the hospital. Deal with it. And he, of course, did very, very well. So thank you all. Also, thank you all for the messages and support. I'm still alive. My wife hasn't killed me yet. So she tried. She dragged me through Walmart the night before. That's
oh, that would have done it. That would have done it.
That's the line we use. She doesn't like it when I say that, though. So, okay, all the normal Zoom etiquette. You know, if you're making noise, just kind of mute your mic, please. That would be great. Okay, club business and news. More news, a little bit of club business, not much more on the good news is, looks like we're hoping to get in, thanks to Frank, we're going to hopefully start physically meeting at Fanshawe College in the new year, possibly January. I will let you all know. Because Frank's a professor there, teacher, professor, all around nice guy. And he can get us the room for essentially free. We just have to double check the insurance and all that. And I have to check with Jerry that we might look at having a show there too at some point. So anyway, more details to follow. So that's on that front. And then
and Stuart, just to jump in there, for those of us who are not local to London, and Fanshawe isn't all that convenient. My understanding is that the places we're looking at having the in-person meetings at Fanshawe are all set up for Zoom calls, and we're hoping to continue having Zoom meetings even with the physical presence. So for those who can't,
that's neat.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I'll be a student hopefully in the new semester. So I don't know, I'll set up a club or something.
Yeah, you there you go. Perfect. Wander down there and away you go. So yeah, we are still going to have Zoom because it's been very handy. Same with the virtual build night, stuff like that. So we're going to do that. Some other news. I'm sure most of you on Facebook saw Welcome out of Guelph. They've decided to cancel it for this year. There's still a lot of uncertainties. Unfortunate, but you know, so I think it's a good choice for them. And also the Windsor Model Show was last weekend. And I know Johnny placed very well. You got yourself a first, Johnny, right?
Yeah, in armor.
Yep. So it was apparently a well-attended show. Looked good. Any other comments about the show, Johnny?
There are some tables that they didn't sign for the competition. They just show off their work. A huge collection. I think he had every single model of World War II German armored vehicle. Very impressive.
I saw that picture. Yeah, that was kind of cool. So there is pictures on the CH2 Club website showing that. It looks like it was, like I said, looks like they had a lot of fun. I know Harvey out of Toronto placed in the aircraft. So yeah, my IPMS clubs did very, very well, cleaned up quite well. Did anyone else here go? No, no one else did. Okay.
Richard went, but he's not on the online tonight. So.
No, that's fine. Okay, yeah, but no, it was good. Apparently, they had a good time. They had a good turnout. Other thing is, in the latest RT came out from IPMS Canada, and our very own Frank has an article, and it's an awesome article he did. So he joins Jeff as one of the many esteemed authors of the RT in our club. So yeah, there you go. So very good one on the Hetzer. As always, I'm going to put my official IPMS Canada plug hat on. Great benefit of joining the club, IPMS Canada. This month's issue has stuff on the YF23, some various diorama things, just some awesome stuff. So definitely, it's well worth it every year to subscribe. And in addition, you also get the every quarter the Beaver Tales, and that comes via email, and that's fantastic as well. So if you haven't already, make sure you sign up. So
What's interesting to me is that RT seems to be improving in size and quality as time goes on.
Yep.
And yet at the same time, Fine Scale Modeler just announced that they're dropping a couple of months a year. They're going down to, I think, what, six times a year now. So
Yeah.
The for-profit magazine industries is troubled, but IPMS Canada seems to be,
Well, and
Steve Sauvé is doing a pretty good job on that magazine.
doing a fantastic job of editor, but the ultimate thing is always it requires people to submit articles. So it's really nice. We're seeing people, it seems to be more, but Steve will always welcome more and more articles.
If you send an email to Steve and just sort of mention that you really like the magazine and you're working on a particular model, he will open a file on you and assume that you're going to write an article for it.
Yeah, you'll get hunted down. You'll get hunted down pretty quick.
The other part of that too is that if you've never written an article before, Steve is also very helpful. But at the same time, you can try out your writing skills in Beaver Tails as well. We accept articles for both Beaver Tails and for RT, and they can be one-pagers. They can be just showing off a model and what your thoughts are, reviews, anything that you think will be helpful to other modelers.
Yeah. So
keep that in mind. Happy to take anything you have.
I highly recommend the experience, guys. Steve is a great collaborator, and it really helps you. For me, trying to write an article really improved the modeling experience. I mean, I really got more into it, and it was really interesting. So
he makes us sound smart, basically.
Yeah, he makes you sound like you know what you're talking about. It's really unusual.
Exactly. All righty. So, Dave's got company with the cat. That's cute. Okay, so let's get on to our 3D printing demo. Both Kevin and Ron are are ready to go. So we're going to turn it over to Ron. Ron, are you starting up first?
No, Kevin should start first because that will show where the file will come from to print, right?
Okay, so Kevin, if you want to unmute yourself, and you can always share your screen.
Yep.
So you know how to share your screen there? You just
sure do.
All right, so go ahead and share that, and I will turn off my share. I think it already is, so there you go. And you should be up. There you go. Yep, started screen sharing.
Okay, so what I'll do, I actually went so far as to, I taped an 8-minute demo, but I think I'm going to try and do it live.
Perfect.
And we'll see how it goes. And if all fails, I'm going to go back to my taped pre-recorded show. So anyhow, so this is Tinkercad. And Tinkercad, it's a fairly intuitive and relatively easy to use web application. So it runs on a web page. And you can use it to create 3D model designs. It's free, that's important. It runs in your browser, and it creates STL files that would be used as input to the 3D printers. So either like what Ron's using, though I know Ron can explain, he's got more steps to do. It's not as easy as that. Or to say public libraries, or if you have your own printer or whatever. I've gone off to the Mississauga Public Library and able to print my stuff. So what really is what it does is, and I'm going to use here a demo of an basic ammo box. Tinkercad uses basic shapes here, and you'll see on the right side of the screen that you pull over and you then manipulate, shrink, whatever, to get them into the sizes of the shapes you want, and then you build up the model that you're creating. So I'll just do a quick demo here. I'll take over this box here, and what I'll do is I'm just going to change the size of it to make a single plank. So I'm going to make this in height. I think it's about 0.45. This, I'll make this 3.37, and then the width, I'm going to change that to 2.28. So there you see, this is what I'm using. This is a single plank in the creation of this box. And you see here what I did is, and you can copy and paste this. So I'll just do this typical commands. And excuse me, I'm a Windows guy, so I don't know what the Mac commands are, but it just Control C, Control V copies objects that you've made. And then you can start aligning them. And it actually grids to 1 millimeter. So, and what I did when I was rhyming off those measurements, I'd gone on the internet and searched that, okay, what the size of it's actually a 75 millimeter German ammo box would be. And then broke that down, as I saw in some samples. They had like 4 boards across, so then divide it by 4. Anyhow, so you kind of calculate the size of your building blocks. You have a snap grid. I can take that off to make them really close, but not right together. That way it creates that view of an indent. And then I can just group them, just select them there. I'm going to group them. And then I'm just going to copy and paste that group. And there you have, move them across. So there I have my 4 planks across. You can also take a plank, such as I've done here, and you can rotate the shape. So if I do that 90 degrees, there, moves it flat. You move it around, and using this here, that at the top left, this little indicator, you can move the whole workspace around to see how things are aligning, which particularly if you're trying to bring pieces together, that really helps. So this one here, I'm going to bring it up, bring it down, levitate it, move it around. Change the view so I can see, oh yeah, I didn't align it properly this way. So they're going to shift it slowly back and forth. So you get the impression there. Now that's just, and I'm not going to try and build it in detail. And this is just an example there. In actual fact, I did my first sample and presented it to Ron, and Ron came back and said, oh, it looks very, very nice, Kevin, but the printer won't print an item with a hollow inside because these are so small in 1/35 scale. So you actually have to put a full core inside. And this ends up being the finished product right there. And if I'll just rotate it around, you can see it's got handles at the front, slats covering the, I don't know what you call that, kind of a reinforcement for the 4 slats there.
Yeah, that would be the bottom as well for it to sit, so it's not right flat on the ground.
Good point. Yes.
Yeah.
And so by building all the components, you gradually build up a model of what you want to have printed. You can also bring over other, just for the sake of examination, I'll bring over this sphere. And I can take that, I don't want to drone on too long here, but move it up and down, but I can shrink it, whatever, do various, just this over here. And I'll just shrink it like that. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to bury it inside the, here, oops, probably have to reorient this so I can see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, so I've got it so already down there. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to bury it inside that box. So you can actually, suppose you had a hump like a radar drone. You can see the fun I have with trying to manipulate this in 3D. There you go. So you sink it inside. So you take all these objects and you can play with it and come up with an object that's based on several different types of shapes. Be they, you've got cylinders there, circles, various other types of shapes, wheel-like shapes that you can manipulate into a wheel. This, I know it's called paraboloid. I think of that as a propeller hub. But the list goes on, and there's other shapes as well that you can bring out. Those are just basic shapes. But so you see down here, they already have predefined hardware shapes, etc. So that's, and as you go through it, you save your work here. So I'm just tells you it's saving it. And then you, oh, don't disappear on me. Oh, great. You can always count on when you're doing a live demo, things are going to go wrong. And then what I was going to do is show you how to export it. Okay, so they're going to take it. So then you would take this right here and go export. Export as an STL file. And then you just save the file. And then you take that STL file and well, then at that point you would take it across to, I said, your public library, Ron, somebody. And what Ron did is he took, I'm going to show you now what, and I think if you've seen the Facebook post by Ron, you may have already seen these pictures that he took. This is the finished model that Ron took and painted. And I'll just show quickly the pictures. I don't want to steal Ron's thunder, but just give you an idea of how it came out in the end.
Kevin, when
yeah.
you're doing something, like if you wanted to emboss like rivets or really tiny details, or let's say wood grain, is that something you can even do?
What a great segue into something. That was one of my final points that I forgot to bring up. Tinkercad doesn't do it. It's a very simple program, but there's third-party software like one called Sculptress that allows you can take the STL file, import it into Sculptress, and then draw the wood grain on your object.
Wow.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Or some sandpaper would also do the trick.
Well, there's that too. But the next question is for Ron. I mean, what type of printer would you need to get that level of detail?
Well, there's a resin printer, and the resolution is like down to 0.02 millimeters.
Okay, that's close.
So that is like about a third of a human hair.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to Ron then, because I think that's kind of the intro to Tinkercad, unless there's any other questions on the design piece of it.
I just wanted to mention about design software. There is a piece of software called Fusion 360 by Autodesk.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a hobbyist, you can actually get a free copy of it. You're only allowed to have 5 projects going at a time, but if you shut down, you finish a project and then remove it from the system or from the folder, you can start a new one. So it's hugely, I just been learning it this week actually at work for the work I do. And I went through all the tutorials and I made a few simple parts, but it's actually free to hobbyists as well. And it's manufacturing level, like industrial grade software. It's very good.
Oh, I've heard it's a lot better than Tinkercad. I just didn't realize you could get it for free. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I last played with Tinkercad about 7-8 years ago when we were first playing with it at our makerspace, and then the library here in London got a basic printer, and it's really come a long way from what I see there. So that's awesome. I'm gonna have to look into that again. Okay, Ron.
Hi, how you doing? Okay, so I'm going to just change the camera angle here to focus on the printer over here.
Yeah, I've got you on spotlight so everyone sees you nice and big.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, looks good.
Okay. Just go back a little bit.
It's like we're there.
Okay, there we go. So this thing, as you can see, is not very big. The measurements are, it's 8.5 inches wide, 8.5 inches deep, and 16 inches tall. And to describe all the components that are in here, we'll just take the lid off. And the way basically this works is there's an LCD screen underneath this vat. This is where the resin goes. And it's a photosensitive resin. So UV light cures it. that carefully out and put it there. So down here, underneath here, there is a UV light source, and it's LED, and a very powerful UV. And then what sits on top here is an LCD screen that is the same size as this. This is the build plate. This is where the model starts and will be formed. And so what the LCD screen does, when you have an object that you slice in a slicing program, it looks almost like a topographic map or a CAT scan or this sort of thing, where each layer that you put has an outline. And so what the LCD screen does, it opens up and allows the light to pass through and cure a layer of the liquid resin and solidify it. And so what happens is when this goes down into the vat, it'll print a layer, lift up, go back down, and print another layer. Now, on a model like this little goblin critter, there's 3,800 layers in that, and they're all stacked on top of one another as this gets built from this build plate. Clear enough so far?
That's impressive.
Yep, pretty cool.
And so now, with no further ado, we'll put this tank back on here. And by the way, this unit, I bought it at Canada Computers on Wellington Road, and I paid $299 plus tax for it.
Wow.
They have them on sale now for $249.
Don't tempt me.
Excuse me, gents.
And the only thing you really need to go with it are the different, there's a resin, and it's the Creality brand. So when you get this printer, basically it's set up to use this resin with all its parameters, which are many.
Excuse me, Ron, I'm sorry for my rudeness. Just want to let you guys know that Carol's just been taken off in an ambulance.
What's that?
Carol's just been taken off in an ambulance. So this is my short meeting. I'll let you guys know via post how she's doing.
Okay, please.
Touch.
Okay, Mike, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, buddy.
Yeah,
Wow.
Godspeed.
please keep us informed, Mike.
I'll do.
Oh, geez.
Okay, well, that's not good to hear.
No, we'll
Oh.
keep our fingers crossed. We'll keep people in the loop.
Okay.
Okay, so now I put this vat back on here, and this has a clear bottom in it. It's called a FEP, F-E-P, and that stands for some fluoroethylene polymer or something. And it's basically a flexible plastic, clear plastic. So that allows the light to come through to cure the resin. And let's see. So now we had to share the screen so I can show you the slicing and the preparation of the STL file. Kevin emailed me that STL file so that I could put it into this. Let me get it open here.
Yeah, so you just go down to the bottom, click on the share screen, and then select which one you want.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
Ron,
Okay. Let me just minimize this for a sec here.
Ron, it's Jeff. How solid a base do you need for one of these things? I imagine that it's not supposed to move other than what it's doing.
No, and the unit itself only weighs 14 pounds, right? I have it on sort of like a table with shelves and wheels on it. And I mean, it doesn't move around unless you're getting vibration from outside or something like that.
Okay.
You know, but you want it definitely like not on like a wobbly table or something, you know, but something just half solid, like even like my workbench that I have behind me, which is like a 2 by 4 foot table with folding legs, that would work great with it.
How is it as far as smell goes? Do you get an odor when it's working?
Actually, it has on the back here a little computer fan that has an activated charcoal filter in it. So when the cover is on, because I do have one resin, because I've been trying different resins, and one that was like really stinky. Once you have the cover on, you can't smell it at all. Like I thought it was kind of gimmicky first that this little filter with a fan on it, would work, but it really does.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
Yeah, and no worse really than like if you're painting or anything like that, it's not strong, put it that way. And most of them have not much smell at all. Like even less than like say, way less than like Tamiya glue, and
I'm just trying to think of eliminate objections in advance. You know what I mean?
Well,
yeah.
if you cut that hole in your wall in the basement for the spray booth,
Shut up about my hole in my wall.
you can just tie it in.
Okay, I'm going to switch to the slicer now so we can see. So
you just hit share screen. It'll bring up your list of your screens. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yep. You got
Yeah.
it.
All righty. Now let me just. I got to expand this out just a little bit.
Yep.
So we can see it a little wee bit better. Okay, now this is called a slicer program.
Right. So this is a separate program from the one that Kevin was working on.
That's right. Yeah. This is now this area here represents that bill plate that I was showing you, right, where the model will be printed layer by layer, and so all I need to do is we'll go here to my files. And we'll get that ammo case.
Cranium? Whoa. Sorry.
And there it is. So I just imported that STL file that Kevin emailed to me. And I'm able now as well to manipulate this around any way I want to. Now, when this stuff gets printed, it needs supports to like hold certain areas till they become strong enough to support themselves. And like one area would be like this this handle on here, because I mean that is, let me go to the other end here. As you can see, there's a gap here and not very much material. And if you look here, that's 1 centimeter, so this is not very big. And so anyway, built into this is a function that will do these supports. Now this thing down at the bottom is called a raft. And what it does, it makes sure that this model is going to stick to this bill plate. Because it's not good when they don't stick, because what it does then is that the whole model ends up in the bottom of the vat and just cures itself onto that FEP screen. and makes a big bloody mess, because you got to dump all the resin out, get alcohol to clean everything. So anyway, that's the basis of it. And then the supports are like, if you can see here, this little thing with the little cone on the bottom and then a cone on the top. You can select the different sizes and shapes of all that stuff. And these programs just have an automatic function on them that put all the supports that is needed on here just with one click.
Nice.
So this is all set up to do this. So I'm just going to click on all. And there's all these little supports.
Very cool.
That hold all these little bits and pieces together while it's being printed layer by layer.
So people have to appreciate there. In the old days, like 5-6 years ago, you'd have to do that manually.
Oh, I know. Like this
Yeah,
is
that's amazing. I'm blown away.
yeah, it's a really cool technology for sure. Like I had a hard time wrapping my head around all this when I started working with it, but after a while you get used to it. Now this is showing this when this gets printed, it is actually like this. And what happens is
that's the layers.
So that would be just, that's the very bottom. I mean, there's not even a layer there. And I haven't sliced this yet, so I'm going to do that first so that we can show it layer by layer. Now, what I do, I go into my settings there for print, and depending on what layer height I want, which is ultimately the Z resolution, right, and how many, and each resin like have specific cure times. Like this particular one takes 4.5 seconds per layer. And then all these other parameters here are for lifting speeds. That whole build plate moves up and down because it comes up out of the resin a little bit to allow more resin to flow underneath, and then comes back down and is, in this case, 0.05 millimeters away from the layer that it just printed. So, okay, what we'll do, that's a good setting. So then we go slice. Let me just get the model back on here. And so it does its thing. Now, this has been sliced into 171 layers. Okay, and it says over here it's going to use 1.89 milliliters of resin to print it. It's going to take 54 minutes and 34 seconds to print. So what all I have to do with this now I can show the layers. If you watch on here, this represents the LCD screen on the printer. So when I start to just move this down,
Yeah, you can
that's all the supports that are underneath.
Very cool.
So when this prints, like what happens, that build plate will move down into the resin and it will print, start printing the layers, right? And you can see the little number box next to the red cursor.
Yeah.
That's showing each layer.
Amazing.
So what happens, the LCD screen acts like a mask, right? And only allows the UV light where through where all those white portions are. So like it's a transforming mask, if you will, for each layer.
And it flows that light through the resin medium and only hardens it in that spot.
That's right. Yeah, it only allows the light to harden that little spot, and each layer like glues itself to each other, right, as you go along. So it becomes one solid object when you're done.
I like that it tells you how much it costs.
9 cents.
6 cents. But that's excluding power. I mean, obviously you need a nuclear reactor to power this. So.
Yeah, I have one like in my spare room. Yeah. The landlord hates my hydro bill though. Actually, it doesn't have much inside of it other than the computer fan, just to keep the circuit board in there cool. It's really, really very simple.
What's the longest one you've done, right?
28 hours.
And what was that, a figure?
Yeah, it was this this little goblin guy that I showed you before.
Yeah,
This guy
Yeah.
here, right?
28 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, it was his, not the guy himself, but this is his little staff
Oh,
that he
man.
has. But it's really tall, right? It's almost like the print size on this. I forgot to tell you guys that, like, the maximum size of an object that you can print is 119 millimeters long, 65 millimeters wide, and 160 millimeters tall.
So for something that's that,
doing
something,
like one, unless you're doing like really huge bits and pieces for a model, you'll never, get to that kind of capacity.
but for just for an idiot's question, why could you lay it down and it would take less time?
What do you mean lay it down? Like right flat itself?
Well, like that tall piece that you had, if you rotated it 90 degrees and then printed it so it was horizontal.
Well, what happens then? You get all these supports going along it, which make little, kind of like little divots, or almost like when you nip off a plastic part from the sprue, and it leaves a little nubbin. Well, you'd have like, I don't know how many supports are on this thing, but if I just go back here.
Oh, I've been told by
There
others.
you go. Each one of those little white circles is a support, which would leave a mark on this. Now, when I printed the ones that I took the pictures of, what I did, I'm gonna get out of here for 1
It
second.
looked very smooth.
Pardon?
It looked very smooth, your finished product.
Yeah, well, but I've got like 6 pieces here that don't look so smooth when I try to print it that way. And so what I came up with, what I did, let me just go here and do this.
Do you have to nip them off individually? Like, or do they just pop off?
Yeah, like you use like, a sprue, the sprue cutter, to nip them off a little bit. And actually, when this resin comes out, it's only 95% cured when it comes out of the printer. And so it's still a little bit soft and flexible. And you can actually just rip that thing right off of those posts, because I mean, it doesn't hold on, they're very strong. So I'm just going to delete these supports on here, and I'll show you how I printed the one that came out successful. Just
This is one of the reasons, if you guys notice, sometimes the commercial guys selling 3D printed stuff, you'll see sometimes they're on an angle or something. That's so they can fit in the build plate. There's all sorts of little tricks you can do. Like you can decide, oh, maybe I can get away with saving a few minutes by having less supports. It's, a lot of it's still trial and error, but yeah, it's just amazing what you can do.
So what I did, okay, I rotated. Put it like that. And then over here.
Oh, I see what you're gonna do.
What I'm doing, I'm making that graph super thin.
That'll take less time.
Well, what it'll do, it'll keep everything flat and square.
Yeah, and
when you print.
Use less material too.
But again, sometimes you may find something looks better if it's printed a certain way, and like I said, that's where you experiment.
Yeah, well, what you got to do is there's always going to be a section of the model where there's going to be marks from these supports, right? If you're using them, so you put it on the back, like if it's a figure that you want to paint, you know, you put it on the back side, right? You know, things like that. Now, when I do it this way, I don't need to put supports on it, right? Because the raft is here, and that will glue itself to the build plate, right? And then of course the raft is glued to this, and this, you know, I can adjust that to be like, say, you know, 0.1 or 0.2 millimeters thick, and then you can just sand it off. And so that's what I did with the ones that I printed. Now, what I had to do though, like where these handles were and everything, right? I got to come in and, oops, where these areas here, it'll show you. If you flip this up like this red area means it's not supported, but in the case of this, it is supported because it's flat on the raft. But if you look here,
Yeah.
you see these little dots. But now what you do, you go in manually and you add a support.
Right.
So that's what I did. I added supports in like that. Actually, they weren't that shaped. They were angled out. And like to remove something like that, you just click on it and delete, right? To change it up. So I'll change that so it's angled. Oops.
It's because you're performing in front of an audience. Don't worry about it, Ron.
There we go.
I'm just amazed on how far the technology's gone in this time since I last played around with it.
Yeah, so now we have, bring this in here. See, now we have a support there to support that section so it doesn't just end up in the bottom of the vat.
Wow.
So now what I'll do is show you a little bit more complicated models and how it deals with them. And I got one you're going to have a kick out of. Remember I said earlier about this sort of looking like a CAT scan?
Oh yeah.
There's your cat scan.
Kitty cat. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
Holy cow.
Right now, this stuff is amazing. I think this would be, it must be close on full size.
I would
Because I
think
mean,
so.
it would,
Small cat, yeah.
yeah, because like, I don't know how big a cat skull is, but if it's like 60 millimeters, 65 millimeters wide, or it might be half size or something like that.
Wow.
Now, Ron, would that have been created by somebody scanning a cranium, or because that looks?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably they, you know, had a real, you know, cat skull, and they used a 3D scanner and scanned it, and then just turned that into an STL file.
Yeah.
This is what I find so amazing about this stuff. It's just crazy. You know,
It's
what
probably
you
done by a veterinarian because they use these kind of things for trying to detail out cat skulls and
Oh
yeah.
model casts and everything.
Well, I'll give you two examples. So one nice thing is because these files are digital, they can be shared. So there's sites where you can download.
Oh yeah, I was going to get to that. Like,
okay. All right, I won't, but I'll give you two examples. Museums, they will actually scan very rare pieces or fragile statues, so they can study the statue by picking it up without having to worry about break the original. They'll
right,
scan it,
yeah.
they'll print it, and let's say they can send it to another museum. The other thing of what's happened is the space station has a 3D printer. So what they did was before any astronauts go up on orbit, they scan their fingers, they scan their toes. If you break a finger, you have to have a unique cast. They have your record. So if an astronaut breaks his or her finger, they can send that file up to the station and print the cast.
Oh wow.
Without having to store one of each. You know, it's up there as long as they have the resin or the material. And that's what's that's what's amazing about 3D printing, especially in remote areas. You can literally send a file of something. Let's say you need a screw for a water pump in somewhere in the middle of Africa. Well, as long as you can, you have access to a printer somewhere, and libraries are doing it. Our library in London has an older one, but it's the same idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
And I mean, if you look at this, I mean, it must have been a very high resolution scan that they did of this, because it is like, I mean, look at this, like we're focused right in now. I don't even know, we're not quite down to pixel size yet, but
Well,
like, okay, here we are, like that's pixelated there. So
the eye socket, just
that's crazy, right?
I've got a copy of this file I've printed a few times.
Pardon?
This is the Thingiverse file, right?
What's that?
Is this the Thingiverse file?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've got a few prints of this kicking around here. I did at work.
So you should tell them about Thingiverse, Ron.
Yeah, like there's there's several different sites that offer both free and paid files, and actually some of the paid files, like especially to do with models, like there's one guy that's got like a bunch of German soldiers that are just like crazy detailed, but he wants a little bit too much for the files. But usually you can get a file for, like, say, something like this, or, a miniature game piece or something like that for, between $3 and $10. And all that happens is you just pay for the STL file and they send it to you, or allow you to download it. So there are several sites out there, like there's Thingiverse, there's My Mini Factory, STL Finder. And that's a search one, like where you can, just put in, like, if you're looking for, say, a cat skull, you can put that in there and it'll bring up any files that include those keywords, and several more. And I mean, these sites have millions of STL files available on them, either free or paid, and quite a number of them are free, and quite detailed models. So what I was going to do here is do an animation on this one. Just get this. Now what I'll do is I'll just let these, and by the way, there's 1,316 layers if I were to print that, and it takes 6 hours and 17 minutes to print.
Ryan, what would happen if you had a power failure?
You lose 6 hours and 17 minutes.
Plug it into a UPS and or a generator.
But anyway, what this is doing now, it's just running down through and showing you the shape of each layer as it moves along there.
Yeah. And
now you can tell why cats are so stupid. Do you realize there's no cranial cavity for the brain?
Ron, when I heard you were getting this printer, I was thinking to myself, yeah, for all the diorama work you do and all the little miscellaneous things, it's just perfect for what you do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like that arched window, like you said, like, the Gothic window.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
And I mean, the other thing about this stuff is all scalable too. Like I'll show you an example of that once I'm going to get out of this. Oh, it's not going to let me. Okay, let me do this. There we go. See what you can do. You can come over here and you can scale either by percent or size. So let's say if we wanted to make that like, so that it wasn't so big, we just go in. there's 50% just by putting in, you know, the parameter that you want here. Or in the case of like some of the model stuff that I've done, like say with let me trash that. See if I can find the turbos that I printed for the Volkswagen. Oh, here's the yeah, this is another cool one here. Oops. It's a Cummins 5.9 liter diesel engine. And I managed to print that off, and it prints off in one piece with all this piping and everything. It's crazy how detailed that is. And again, this, you know, this stuff is scalable just to
That's incredible.
now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this printer going, and then we can talk a little bit about some of the things it won't do. And so what you have to do to get this printer up and running, it has a USB port on the side of it, and you just have to, well, you can, you know, hook it direct to your computer, but I like using a USB stick and download the file onto the stick and then insert it into the printer. So what I'll do here is, this is that ammo case that's been sliced and supported and all ready to print. This is the file that I printed the examples that I painted and everything from. So come in here. And I'll send that to my USB stick here. And I think you actually have to use the USB stick. Move this window away from the shared application.
Yeah, it's just telling. If you want to stop the sharing, I can. I was going to show people your Gothic windows.
Sure, yeah.
While
You
you're
can
doing
stop the
that.
sharing because I'm done. I'm actually done with the sharing that
Okay,
one for now.
So these are the windows Ron posted today on Facebook. So you can see from right to left how he did it here. Just, you know, again, just amazing quality.
Yeah, these were no, how come? Oh, I can't see my how come I can't see my files here? Okay, just give me 1 second,
Yeah,
Stuart.
take your time. Take your time. You have to minimize your
Yeah.
minimize your screen. I'll show a few other things. Kevin, is something else you wanted to add while we're waiting?
Yeah, I was wondering
Okay.
if it's flammable at all.
The resin?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. Let me just see. It'll probably say on
Oh,
here.
don't just see. Don't put a lighter on it. But God,
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have any warning labels on there that it is flammable.
Oh, good.
Well, you definitely want to wear nitrile gloves handling it. That's what they say. So anytime I have to do cleanup after a print. Okay. So now I've loaded that onto the USB stick. So now if you want to go switch to the camera that's on the printer.
Yep, I've got you I'm going to spotlight you right now. Here we go. And spotlight. Okay.
Okay, what the heck?
It's because it's live.
Okay, there we go. So, okay, anyway, take that out. And there's just a little USB port here on the side. And then on the screen here is just a button for print. And then it shows like whatever files are on the USB stick. So it says here, ammo case on the side, flat, and the resolution and so on. So sure everything, and just hit a button that looks like a play button.
Oh, it's going down.
Yep. Well, it's going down, Ron. What's the box that you have beside it? Is that the curer to cure the part after?
Yes. Yeah, that's we'll get to that in a moment as well.
Hey Ron, did you ever forget to tighten your build plate or your resin tray?
Pardon me?
Did you ever forget to tighten the screws on your build plate or your resin tray?
No, because I double check every time.
I've only done
Yeah,
it
because
once.
I can imagine what would happen.
Yeah. I've only forgot to tighten the actual resin tray once, and I caught it right away. So.
Yeah.
That would be messy.
So now it's down there, and it's 0.05 millimeters away from that LCD screen or the FEP, which is right directly on top of the LCD screen. And the first layers take, I think, on this particular resin, 50 seconds of exposure time, and now it's lifting up.
Oh yeah, and you can't even hear it from here.
No, this thing is very quiet. Like I sleep in the next room here to where I am with the door partly open when this thing is running. You can barely hear it. So now it's printing the second layer. And this will start going a little bit faster because the base layers, it exposes them a little bit longer so that they will stick to the build plate.
There you go. Awesome.
Now lift it up again and back down. What's really make you nervous is when once in a while you have to replace the plastic film in the bottom of the tank. And also it's a good idea to the build plate has to be level with the LCD screen. So you have to loosen off a few screws and level that up. And when you do that, and then you do your first print, when that thing is coming down and approaching that LCD screen, you want to make sure that you haven't left like a gap when you were leveling it, and then it just goes down in the middle, will just smash through that screen.
Oh,
and then probably all the resin will come out and it will make a big mess. And over time, the LCD screen will become worn as far as the pixels, will degrade a little bit. And you can buy a new one for this particular machine for about $50, which is not too bad.
So you got it from Canada Computers, and for those who don't know, that Canada Computers has opened a second store up near Masonville.
Yeah, I saw that when I went online the other day, just doing some checking on the prices for this. And by the way, the resin at Canada Computers, they have it for $24.95 for a half a liter.
And how long will that last you, Ron?
Oh my God, like a half a liter of that stuff, like, well, you saw like with the that ammo case, what did it say? Like just a couple of milliliters to print it, you know. So it's we get a lot of small bits and pieces out of it for sure.
Right. Okay, we still got lots of time. It's 5 past 8. How long was this one going to take again, Ron? About 30 minutes or 50 minutes?
No, it's going to be like an hour, but I mean,
okay. Because I was thinking
could,
if it was 30, we could do on the tables and then come back to it. But just go ahead, carry on.
Yeah. Anyway, I was going to show you some of the stuff that I have printed while that's going. So I'm just going to move my camera over to my desk here, or my.
Ron,
Yeah.
You bought this a year ago, 2 years ago?
About a year ago, yeah.
Has the technology improved since then, or the prices dropped?
Oh yeah, they've got newer ones now that like print in like a third of the time because they've improved the LCD screens to allow more light through, I guess, which will cure the resin faster.
I'm just curious. Like, if you're interested in getting one now, obviously, has it changed enough to warrant? It sounds like it.
Yeah, I just got to.
Oh, did he get cut off? You still there, Ron?
So the issue.
I'm back. Okay. Now I'm just going to move this over here.
So yeah, that one he's got currently, it's $249. Shall we see? Shall we find out, Jeff, if it's available in London for you?
No, well, I'm just gonna say. So the options now are. That's about a quarter the price of a 132 Lancaster.
Yeah. Oh, and apparently 2 of those are coming to Brofdale's. Richard said he's ordered 2 of them. So
on spec.
On spec, yeah.
Nice.
So I need one of you guys to get one so we can oodle over the plastic.
Look, I'm gonna just stick with my model, with my Bandai kits. Because I get one of these, I'm tempted to go into Warhammer.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot out there for that.
And no, I can't go down that rabbit hole. I don't have that much money.
Well, no. You got to remember, as long as you have the time to print, you'll save a bundle, and you know.
That's what they say. That's what
All
they say to
about the
lure
time.
you in.
They do. That's
Yeah.
That's games.
The first one's free.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what I gotta do.
You doing okay there, Ron?
Well, maybe while Ron's doing this, we could
Can you hear me now?
Yep, there you go. And we see the stuff now.
Okay, yeah, I had to switch the cable, USB cable.
Okay. Nope. Everything we see it now looks good.
Okay, fair enough.
Carry on, sir.
Okay. Anyway, just a little collection of, as you can see, I'm into doing goblins a little bit.
See what I mean? This is how they get you.
What's that?
Oh, I was talking about Warhammer while you were gone.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Rob's worried about getting sucked in. We're already working on them.
Oh, okay. Well, this is going to do it for you for sure. Because, like, if you look there, There's the Recaro seats that I printed off for the Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Beetle and the wheels, the tires. And that's the head for this guy here in the background, which is a 6-legged biomechanical walker. And we'll have this guy, once I release him from his supports,
Cool.
which looks like this. This is a print that failed. He lost his knee
Oh, just
or his
bring it down
leg.
slightly. You just bring it down. You're above the camera. There you go.
Yeah, he lost his leg just below the knee when I printed it.
It's a war wound.
Eh?
Yeah.
It's a war wound. He got wounded.
Yeah, exactly.
Took that arrow to the knee.
Yeah.
It's merely a
deal with
flesh
that.
wound.
Yeah, and he rides on the back of this guy here.
Rob, I think you're doomed, mate.
And then these are the legs for the walker.
Yeah. Wow.
And they all look like they got the old brass armor plate. And there's a couple of turbos like are on the back of the VW engine. There's that Cummins diesel that I talked about with all the piping on it and everything. Now, here are the unfortunate victims of a failed print. As you can see, that ammo case is not really in very good shape, right? It's all distorted here on the corners and everything.
The transporter pattern buffer failed.
Yeah, so then I printed it like that, but then it leaves all these little nubbins all along the bottom here, right? So that's when I came up with printing them on like this, right? Like this one is printing over here, and they came out like good, really nice, just with a little, minimal amount of sanding to clean them up. And the other important thing you have to do with this is there's calibration tests. And these things are just little flat, little plates that have, let me see if I can you see? No, wait out.
Down.
No, bring it down. There you go. Yep.
Okay,
Yep, there you go.
like see all these patterns and everything on there? When you look at them under magnification, like those two circles that you see right here, they have like a teardrop point.
Oh.
And when you have like the cure time set properly, these points will meet right in the middle. And if it's overexposed, they look mushy, right? They're mushed together. And if it's underexposed, the tips are apart. So you can dial in the settings on the printer so that when those meet, like as close as you can to being the 2 points meeting together, that means that you have your printer set up for that particular resin. And each brand of resin have different cure times and so on and so forth. So it's really important to dial in those settings when you first get your printer. And there are these calibration models that are available free online. And there's a couple of different ones of them. Like this one is kind of neat. It's a bunch of little buildings all stacked together with different little crosses and circles and little indents and things on them to show how crisp, the detail is. And I mean, it has little spikes on here. You're not even going to be able to see them, I don't think.
Yeah,
it's
gonna
out.
be,
Yeah, it's out of-
gonna be too close to the camera unless you put your hand. Just put your hand.
Yeah,
and
I will.
Thing closer together to each other, and then move your hand back a bit. Okay, just move the whole thing back. Keep going, keep going. Yeah, it's a little bit
Yeah,
more.
it's too close.
Yeah, it's too close. You're gonna have to go way back, Ron. There you. Yeah, that's about. Yeah, we get the idea though.
Yeah, but I mean, like there's one pin on there, like it's not much bigger than a hair, and it printed. It is just incredible.
Cool. All right, so
And
we
here-
want. Yep, just keep going. I'm just saying if you can finish up in about 5.
Sure, yeah. And here's the base for that goblin with all the crystals and mushrooms and different different things on there. But what's really neat is that, like, say with these Recaro seats, they were a full-size image. You know, so when I put it in that Chitu box, the slicer, and loaded it, I mean, you couldn't even see it. And then so percentage-wise, 1/24 scale is 4.16%. So as soon as I did that, then that thing appeared just on the on the bill plate. And all I did with it, like I knew the back side of the seats and the bottom, like, okay, the bottom you'll never see, and the back side you can sand pretty easily. So when I orientated that to the bill plate to put the supports on, I just kind of like tilted it at like a 45-degree angle and, you know, used a lot of supports underneath it, and they printed out beautifully. And even the Recaro emblem that's like stitched into the headrest of the seat, you can see that on the print.
Nice.
like I've tried to get a picture of it, but no way, right? Like, but if you were to pick it up in your hand, like, and put, you know, our magnifiers that we all use, put that on, you can see it. And I'm gonna try, I don't know if it's gonna work, to try to infill with red paint and then wipe it off and leave, you know, the red paint in the grooves in the seat. But we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, it's a fantastic way of getting like a lot of parts. And you know what I like about it, like if I want a little project to do at night, you know, and get up and have coffee in the morning, download a little miniature to paint, you know, print it, and by lunchtime, you know, I'm you know, I got a little project to do.
Yeah, neat. That's awesome. Does anyone have any questions? No, anyone else?
I'm just wondering, like, I shared a 3D file of a Tiger tank with full interior that can actually remote control, right?
It'll take a while to print, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how long it will take and what's the cost for the material if I want to do it in a 1/16 scale.
So
Like,
what is it you want to print it, Johnny?
so there was a 3D file I shared on Facebook page of, I think, a few months ago. It's made by Chinese modeler, but it's something that has a full interior, like it's a Tiger tank with full interior and actually walkable.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That might take a while. I'm just saying. Yeah, these aren't designed for, like, you know, you're not going to be able to mass produce, certainly. But yeah, it's, again, I continue to be amazed on what could be done.
Yeah, and there's a lot of information and tutorials on YouTube, and I mean, some of them you gotta watch, because it's a lot of guys that have, you know, what they call a print farm, where they have, you know, 6 or 8 or 10 of those things in their basement, and they're printing off minis that they you know, bought the license to be able to sell, you know, so they're in full production. So of course they want to do like the fastest time possible to get a good turnaround. So you got to kind of watch what kind of settings and parameters that they want you to change on your printer, you know, because they're looking for speed over quality, you know, in some circumstances. Me, I don't care if it takes like an extra couple of hours for something to print, as long as it prints successfully and comes out, you know, accurate. You know, that's what I strive for when I'm doing my printing.
Yeah, for example, I'm just looking at Thingiverse, and someone's got RC Tiger tank with the Porsche turret 1/16. It's 21 different files. You know, and he's got like instructions for it and all that. So yeah, Thingiverse is a huge black hole, gentlemen. I'm just gonna let you know right now.
Oh, if you buy a printer and you go there, I mean, you're gonna be like a kid in a candy store.
Oh,
You know, and I mean, you're gonna fill up like a folder full of bookmarks of stuff that you want to print in one night. You know, it's great.
And I think as Kevin was saying, the libraries, like London Public Library has a much older unit. My wife already has a monster list because there's stuff for like crafters, like crochet needles, drop spindles, stuff like that. Yeah.
Now, and the printer that Kevin had access to was not a resin printer. It's one of those filament printers.
Yeah, that's what we have at the library.
Yeah, where it belts a filament and then kind of squirts it on to a build plate and builds up the layers that way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're even 3D printing buildings now, houses.
I know, it's crazy.
Like concrete, they just do layer after layer of a special concrete. It's crazy.
Well, they also do it with icing for cakes and stuff like that. So there's all sorts.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, if no one else has any questions, we're going to go on to what's on the tables. First of all, thank you both, gentlemen. We really appreciate you taking the time to show us. It's absolutely awesome. I have a feeling Jeff's already getting ready to whip out his credit card.
I don't know how long they're on sale for, Jeff. You better come to town like tomorrow, maybe, or.
They're on sale forever, Ron. They're always going to be on sale.
See, it's not just me, Jeff. It's not just me, Jeff. It's not just me.
Ask for Robin.
Just saying. All right, so let's move on then. I'm just going to remove the spotlight there, and we're going to share my screen again.
Okay, and I'm just going to move my camera back here.
That's fine. PowerPoint share. All right. So on the tables, gentlemen. Oh, it's the wrong screen. Hang on. Let me share it correctly. Stop sharing.
You're gonna have to put your green screen back up, Stuart.
I know it's a bloody mess. Believe me, I know. All right. There we go. Hopefully I don't get that silly error. So on the tables, we're starting with Jeff.
Yeah, this has been, I've been working on this forever. This is the Academy 148 Hawker Hunter. And it was really, I bought this from Stuart at a swap meet a couple of years ago. One of those wonderful times when we actually could get together physically. It's a really nice kit. I've said this before. Last time I was working on the decals, and this time I'm working on adding all the little fiddly bits, including the armament and everything. I'm really pleased with the way the paint came out. And this really was a mule for practicing painting techniques, pre-shading, and line filling in things. So I'm pleased. It's still got a long way to go. I have still a lot more fiddly bits to put onto it, but it's coming together nicely. It's a clean. It's not going to be a war damage. It's just a used plane. And this is the Phantom build that Carrie's already finished his. I'm not. And I'm just still plugging away slowly at this one.
What scale is that, Jeff?
Oh, sorry.
148. It's the Academy.
Okay.
F4J. And I'm getting to start working on the little pilot and navigator guy, or the weapons operator in the back.
Good.
And it's a beautiful kit. It's a really nice kit. Obviously, it won't compare to the new Tamiya one, but I'm happy with it. And it sort of is perfectly fine for my capabilities at this stage. Long way to go still on this one. And that's what I was spending most of my time on, just continuing to try and add some more detail and work to the engine area and the heat distortion stuff on the back end.
That looks good, though. Yeah.
It's good. I'm not there yet, but it's getting better. But thanks, appreciate that.
Decals went on nice.
Yeah, they did, except for one, the spine one, that big one across the spine was a bear. It flipped inside out on me a couple of times, and
Oh man.
Good God.
Oh, because it looks
Yeah.
good.
it came out okay, but there was a lot of creative language being used to get that as far as it did. But this last one, this is not a plastic model, but this is the fellow who was distributing his collection. He had been working on this Leonardo da Vinci flying machine, and he couldn't finish it anymore. And he got it very far along, did a beautiful job on it. Just had one more wing to do, so I agreed to try and finish it for him, so that he could stick it on in his display case. As he'd done so much work on it. It's amazing. It's just such a good model, but my God, there's a lot of work.
What is it? Is that plastic, Jeff, or wood?
That's all wood, Brian. Wood and leather and some
Wow.
metal. And
Like, is it all pre-cut, the wood pieces, or?
no, all the wood had to be bent. They give you these forms. You can see the two forms with masking tape on the edge down in the bottom right there.
Oh my God.
And you had to bend the wood around and then laminate them using CA to get.
Oh yeah, okay.
I mean, this is really a craftsman kit, and this guy just did a fantastic job.
I
So
never,
now,
I never
Sorry?
want to hear you bitch about photo etch again.
no, I know this is it's sitting there, and I'm looking at it, and it's screaming at me, make me, finish me, finish me. So I have to do it. It's sort of I'm honor bound now, but anyway, that's interesting. Definitely, it's going to be a skill set improver. I'll tell you. This is the first kit that I built out of that stash. That it's a not a particularly great kit. It's an old mold Airfix 172 Chipmunk. But a couple of years ago, I bought my wife a flight in a Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum out of Hamilton, Chipmunk, and I'm doing it in this marking, and that's her in the back seat. I took the little figure, cut the head off, turned it to the side, sanded off all the military gear, and stuck her there wearing some sunglasses. So that's her.
I have a thought, Jeff. I have a thought suddenly, based on our demo tonight. We can 3D scan her head, and then we'll get it 3D printed.
Not in this plane, but that's the real plane. That's the actual one at.
Oh wow.
Oh, well done.
So I'm trying to
I
get.
can't tell the difference between the model and they both look the same. They look awesome.
Well, you can if you look closely and you see the size of the rivets on the model. Look at those.
Yeah.
And also, I haven't done the final dull coat. The flat black glare screen anti-glare is showing the remnants of future. But other than that, it'll all get sorted out in the end.
That's good.
Yeah, fun.
Well done. Well done, George.
Nice.
Wow.
Hi there. Thanks, Dirk. I bought a couple of Tamiya kits years ago at a hobby show, and I pulled them out of the stash because I looked at the checkerboard schemes and thought, those checkerboards are really cool. So I put these two together recently. They're basically out of the box Tamiya kits, 172 scale. This Mustang, I had read on the internet that the wings, a lot of the panel lines were filled and then painted over with silver paint. So I did that on this plane, and you can see that there's no panel lines on the forward half of the wings. Just filled it in with filler and sanded it smooth, and then painted it with a silver paint versus the outclad aluminum, which the rest of the plane is done in. I added some fine wire for cable, brake cable, as you can see it there on the left of the screen. What was kind of interesting about this one was it let me practice my outclad paints. I find that if you do lots of different panels in too different a shade, it looks like a puzzle. So I would take a basic aluminum and just start adding dark aluminum or Dura aluminum and mix my own brand of outclad, which makes the panels stand out but doesn't make them look like a patchwork. What was kind of cool about this plane was you can see the markings there. There's Japanese kills and German kills, which I don't think you see too often. The pilot who was a Colonel John Landers, he his first tour of duty after learning how to fly for 10 hours was in Australia, um, supporting the protection of Australia from the Japanese. So while there, he downed, was it 7 or 8 Japanese planes while in Australia. When he finished his tour, he signed up to go back into the war and was sent over to Germany, where he ended up flying Mustangs. In Australia, he flew P-40 Warhawks, but in Germany, he flew Mustangs. So he had the Japanese markings added to his Mustang. He left the war about 36 kills, a combination of Japanese and Germans, which I thought made it kind of a unique plane in that regard. I also practiced some more of my oil work, trying to capture some spills on the gas tanks and a little bit of pastel work on the guns to simulate some smoke damage there. Same with the exhausts. Decals went on beautiful, and it's a Tamiya kit, so everything fit really nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
Then I went on to kind of a companion piece. Both these planes show the markings from the 78th Fighter Group based out of England in 44. Yeah, again, the checkerboard scheme, recognizing it as being from the 78th. And this was a P-47 Mustang, again in 172 scale. Again, I think I'm starting to learn how to use finer and finer sanding pads to get the finish ready for Alclad. Again, you can see the different tones of Alclad that I used on the wings and the panels. Again, the decals went down really well on the checkerboard scheme. And again, I just added some wiring for the brake lines. I added some fine masking tape for the seat belts, which the kit didn't have. I also some chipping solutions on the propellers. I find using the chipping solution on top of the aluminum and then the black, and then chip it with a toothbrush, I find it looks more realistic than trying to paint on aluminum chipping. This was a P-47 Mustang flown by the colonel who was the squadron commander. He ended up with 20, he ended up with like 5 kills in this plane. What always amazes me is that both these guys at the end of the war were like 20 and 24 years old flying these things. It just astonishes me what these young kids were able to accomplish in these airplanes. So again, to me, a kit, easy to put together, lots of fun, and I got to practice my my aluminum skills again. I tried something new on the wing lights. Before I put them on, I drilled a very tiny hole on the backside of the clear glass piece, and then filled it with the green or the blue paint color, and then affixed it to the wing. So it looks like there's a green light inside rather than painting the outside. Something a little bit different that I was able to do with a very fine drill bit and pin vise.
That's a great idea.
That's it.
All right, moving on. Rob.
Oh.
With his feet.
So, yeah, I started out, it's a brand new kit. It is the real grade High New Gundam from, Bandai. So, for the first time in a long time, it started me building feet first rather than head first. So, these were just some progress pictures that I ended up doing. Just some early progress to the feet. And that was before we started tonight's meeting, what I ended up finishing. I'm actually just finishing the waist part right now. So
it's the one just released, right?
Yeah, it's the one that's just released. I unfortunately don't like the color scheme it came in. I prefer the purple color scheme for the same model.
Okay.
But unfortunately, there's debate on what the official colors are. So, because the model is from a book that didn't have any official art.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's your model. You make it as you want, man.
Hey, the first official version of the model came in a video game, so
There you go. Looks
and
good.
yeah, and it goes back between the babyish blue color that this is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a little bit darker in real life than it is in the pictures, but yeah, it goes between that and the. Sorry, my screen just died on me there.
It's all right.
Yeah, goes between that and a more deeper purple color, which is the one I tend to prefer. I might paint it over in purple later, because it's not too many blue parts. It's mostly just highlights on the kit, as it's mostly white. So
Right. Very nice. So, Johnny, you got this one on order?
No. The thing is,
I'm-
like, this is being like, how to put this? Like, people think this is the best RG ever,
Right.
and this makes there a lot of people, like, I don't know how to call them in English, but these people just buy tons of this stuff. They are not model shop. They are just personal who buy a lot of this stuff and make them out of stock from official stores.
Oh, hoarders.
And they,
Hoarders.
Yeah, and then they sell them for a lot more expensive.
Right.
yeah,
And so everybody in China are like standing together to say we will not buy this.
Mm.
Everybody. So no matter how much you want this, just endure. Wait
Yeah,
until
Just wait. Let it, yeah.
yeah.
Supply and demand, my friend.
I
Okay.
get that. I managed to just get it. I got it at Neo, and they're out of stock already. So
Not
they've been
surprised.
getting short stock too. So
Yeah. All right, Carrie with this beautiful looking F4.
Yeah, so this is again, I got involved in two Phantom builds when they announced the Tamiya F4B. Some guys in Ottawa decided we were going to, and myself, we decided to do a Phantom build with something other than the Tamiya F4B to use up some of our existing stash of F4s. I decided to use and then here in London, we did the same thing. So this is actually a completed F4 for both group builds. I wasn't going to try to do two in 1 year. Anyway, so this is the Academy F4B, similar model that Jeff is building, except it's the earlier version, the F4B. Again, it's a nice kit. It's any flaws in this particular model are mine doing, not the kit itself. I rushed it sometimes, and I got lazy in other ways. The markings are a VF111, which is the Sundowners, probably one of the more popular F4B markings, with the combination of the sunrise / sundown on the tail and the shark's mouth on the nose. This particular aircraft is famous because it achieved a MiG kill during the Vietnam War. Lieutenant Wigland and Lieutenant Freckleton were the successful crew that shot down a MiG-17 on, well, I don't know the exact date. It was March 1972. So close, actually fairly close to the end of intense American involvement in the Vietnam War. With every kit, I tried to do something to challenge myself. So with each kit, I'm painting more of the markings. So the walking areas along the top of the engine nacelles, the anti-glare panel on the front are all painted. And this is another one that I decided I was going to put on all of the data stencils, or most of the data stencils. Let me rephrase that. Putting all of them on would be a reason to drink even more, I think. But yeah, quite happy with the model. Quite happy that I actually got it done. With the Ottawa guys, it was supposed to be done at the beginning of the U.S. Nationals, so I was a month late for that, but I was early for the London Phantom build, so I consider that to be a nice average.
Very good.
So
When is the London build supposed to be done by?
my understanding is it's supposed to be done by the end of the year.
Excellent. There's still some time.
That's all right. Most people don't start, our group builds until like it's the end of the year. It's like Christmas Day they'll start.
Yeah. I have to start mine still.
Yeah, so there you go. All right,
In my
Kevin.
year build.
Okay. So this is a monogram, 148 scale F-104 Starfighter in Canadian markings, circa 1963. Oddly enough, I bought the kit for 20 some odd bucks out in Oakville. And then the next week, Jeff has the estate sale on with one for 10 bucks. So I picked it up as well, and I'll also do it in Canadian markings. The kit's from 1988, so it certainly shows its age in terms of putting it together. It's not a bad kit, but doesn't compare to anything new. And for me, as usually I'm a brush painter, so this time I actually used a spray can and just Tamiya paint to spray it, and I had fun with that. So there's my kit, and I look forward to doing the next monogram Spitfire out of the estate sale, or Starfighter out of the estate sale.
Looks good.
You could have got a Spitfire too if you wanted.
Oh, I already have about 4 Spitfires, all Tamiya one. No, Tamiya and an Airfix one.
Isn't he like a crack dealer? It's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
He's terrible for that.
I'm done, man.
I know. He was doing that. He was doing that
That's a
for
good
me.
thing you didn't show up at his house and saw the stash there.
Yeah.
Then you walk away with more.
Well, he was doing that with me, but frankly, I deserved it, because those who don't listen to the podcast with him and we're going through the Scalemates What's New section, and we're always, we're always finding stuff that he likes, and we're winding him up. So when he got this stash, every so often I'd get a picture going, "Ooh, look at this! Ooh, look at this!" And I used language, but there you go. But all right, does anyone else have anything to show off? We got a few minutes left. Dave,
Yeah,
what's that Sukhoi?
I got something to show.
Yeah.
Let me find it here.
I think I sent you some pictures.
Yeah, we wanted to see Johnny's winning entry.
Oh.
That was I already showed that last month, right?
Let me double check my email, Johnny, because I didn't see anything from you. But hang on a sec, I could be wrong.
Is this the one you saved from certain doom, Dave?
Yeah, so this is the Zvezda kit of the Su-57. It's their latest 5th generation fighter. They only have 2 that actually fly right now, but it's gotten quite a bit of, it goes to Farnborough and everybody goes in Oz when it flies and stuff, and it does all kinds of crazy maneuvers. So I love these 5th generation fighters. So I got this, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago when the kit first came out, and I got it to a certain point. One of the vertical stabilizers broke off somewhere along the way, and it was sitting in a box for years. So I finally got it out about a month and a half ago and started working on it again. I, drilled and pinned the stabilizer and put it back on. And, I got the paint on, and this is one of the early camouflage schemes they had on it. And I really thought it was neat the way they had, sort of changed the shape of the aircraft with the paint scheme. They call this I think it was called the shark scheme, is what the Russians called it. So it was going pretty well anyways. I'm using all lacquers on this. This is Gunsy lacquers on there, like a medium or intermediate blue, and then some kind of a blue gray or something for the undercolor here. So it was going pretty well. It's got lots of metal around the engine, so plenty of masking to do, right? You mask everything off, and then so this is before I sprayed the black to go under my metallics. And I protect the rest of the model with just some paper to keep any overspray off, because if you don't, you're always going to get overspray somewhere. Once I got the main metal colors on, I did a couple different colors, and I did a bit of thin masking on here to get these lines. You look at pictures of the actual aircraft, it's got all these weird lines on here. And then I sanded a little bit to try and get these little variations that I was seeing in pictures. And then there's these 3 little silver panels on the top of each engine. So I tried a couple different ways to mask it. I ended up using one of my photo etch templates, and I would actually cut a curve out of a piece of masking tape. So each one of these little things is masked with 4 separate pieces of tape with like this corner cut out on it, right? So I put this on, that line the next one, and blah, blah, blah. And that's how I did all 6 of these spots. Anyways, it worked pretty good. It was tedious, but it was very effective and turned out pretty good. There I am spraying the silver. Again, I protected everything from overspray. And this is the basic finished model. You can see that silver stuff there. I had a sort of aftermarket decals by a company called Bigamot, who does all this Russian stuff. had all these gorgeous stencil decals on there, but you can see there's some scary stuff going on up here. After I put the decals on, the next day I came back and they'd started to go bad on me, and the decals all silvered like this. And
Wow.
I used microset and microsol, and you can see the model's glossy. I put them on a gloss surface. I don't know if it's the decals or if my surface wasn't glossy enough or what was going on anyways. There's something going on between the decals and the lacquer finish or whatever. So I thought, you know, screw it. I'm just going to put a flat coat on it and I'm going to throw it on the shelf. So that's what I did. And it sat there for like 2 days. And it was quite literally keeping me up at night because I just, you know, the paint job, I was so happy with my paint job, right? But then the decals did this to me. So, so the next thing I did was I used the, oh yeah, there's the engine stuff there. It turned out pretty nice, but the silvering is just, like, I felt like a rookie. It was just awful, right? So what I did was, you can see here, I did the old Scotch tape trick, and I just started peeling all the decals off, right? So I was going to just do the big stencils, and then I started realizing like everything has silvering on it, and I was knowing I'm going to be able to live with that. So I just went and I took all the decals off this way. It took me maybe an hour or two to, you know, get all little bits decals off. And I was doing a bit of sanding and polishing. I got a little overzealous in this area here, and I started to sand to the paint. So I started being more careful with that anyways. And you can see up here in the corner, I've still got the kit decals, original kit decals. And then somebody online says, oh, just so you know, the kit decals are printed by Bigamont as well. They do all the decals for Zvezda. And I thought, well, damn it, we're going to have the same problem. So I thought, well, I'll get the model real glossy again. So I got the model real glossy again. And when I put the decals on now, I would get the decals loose on the paper. And I had a little dish sitting next to the model, or to what I was doing. And I'd taken a little bit of Future floor polish, and I did it about 70 or 80% water to Future. So I put a little puddle of that on the model, laid the decal on that as a, you know, a medium between the decal to sort of glue it down to the model. So that's what I did for all the decals. Luckily, there was only about maybe 2 dozen decals now to put on the model. So that's what I did. And then I got those on, and I got it flat coated last night. And the end result, I'm pretty happy with. So I managed to save the model. It doesn't look quite as nice in person because where some of the old decals were, it left a bit of a mark in the clear coat when I peeled the decal off. I polished a lot of those out, but you can see it a bit. But I figure Russian aircraft are pretty crusty anyway, so I can probably get away with it.
Looks good, man. Looks good.
So it came out nice, you know. That when I put I touched up this spot here where there was the mark in the blue. So, and then when I did do the paint too, I didn't do a perfectly uniform finish. It's got a little bit of mottling in there, like sun fading and that, right? So there's a few different views here of it, anyways.
Very cool.
Hey, Dave, a question. So the silhouette of the blue, is that the actual shape of a different aircraft, like say a earlier MiG or something, that to try to fool anybody looking from above that it's not this aircraft but something different?
You know, I wondered about that. Like it looks almost like an F-22, the shape.
Right.
Right. But so I don't know if that's what they were playing at or not, but it does look like a different, it looks like a much smaller aircraft for certain, right? So
right.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what they're playing at there. I never really thought about that. There's no information online about it. So this actual aircraft had an engine fire at one point, and so the right intake was all burnt and charred and stuff. And they actually took the airframe and took portions of it and rebuilt another aircraft to one of the ones that's flying now. So so this actual aircraft, as it was like this, no longer exists. It got kind of scavenged for another plane. But in the end, it turned out all right. So now I'm actually happy with it. So I look at it and I feel pretty happy. I don't hate it like I did before. So that's the important thing, I guess.
Did the stand come with it, Dave, or did you make that separately?
Yeah, the stand comes with it. So they give you, of course, landing gear and stuff too. But so I closed up all the gear doors. They didn't fit very good. It took a lot of fiddly fitting and stuff. And this little piece here on the bottom, it didn't like want to even come close to fitting. I ended up making a whole new piece out of styrene to put it in there. So, but you know, these 5th generation aircraft, they're so gorgeous. Like, I mean, it's a shame to put them on landing gear, I think. So I like to build them in flight. So I just had to cut the hole on the bottom for the stand to go in.
That's
so
great.
yeah, it's nice that they gave you a stand for the kid, anyways.
Looks good.
So this is currently my desktop background on my work computer.
Very good.
So yeah.
Okay, I got Johnny sent me his pictures, so I'm going to share my screen again, and Johnny can go through his. This is his 1-year build, I believe.
Yes.
All right.
Actually, I just checked my email and I think it failed to send this
Yeah,
morning.
I know. I just got it. All right.
Yeah.
Do you guys see that now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead, Johnny. You got 4 pictures here.
Yeah, so this is my 1-year build. I hope I can finish it on time. Currently, I think I'm not as fast as I expected, but anyway, this is a rifle model Panzer G with full interior and clear parts, and I just finished the suspensions and the gears.
Wow.
Yeah, and the batteries, the frameworks, things like that. And I painted with a real color.
Sorry, I went
RC,
too far. Sorry. Go ahead.
RC. RC color is great, but it's really like when I paint the inner corner of the tank, like the interior. I think it's because the air circulation. Some paint that's in the air is being blown back to the other side of the tank,
Yeah.
and then dries and falls down. So it forms very small, like dusty particles on the other side of the area where I'm painting. But fortunately, they are easy to sand off. Yeah, and this is I think it's the transmission.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I was working on last week, and right now I'm working on the engine. But this one, I'm very surprised by the design because there are actually 2 layers of brakes and gas. And if you go back to the last photo, the driver actually have 2 levels of seat, right? So he can sit in the lower one and drive normally, and he can also sit on the upper one, so his head can be out of the hull. He can like see clearly.
Oh yeah, makes sense. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense for the Germans to complicate something that's already complicated.
And you can see there are 3 layers.
Yeah.
Crazy.
See, I wouldn't worry about it when you're going to get it done, Johnny. You're like every other member of this club sometimes at our 1-year build, so I wouldn't worry about it. You're fitting in fine.
Yeah, so Johnny, is this the one you were screaming about last week, putting little tiny PE parts on?
Yeah, so you see there are 2 metal, like not this one, a little bit upper. Like the one connects the 2 layers of.
Oh yeah, I could see the little things that are. You can't point at them, obviously, but.
Yeah. I got the wrong orientation.
I think we learned some new swear words from you last Wednesday too, so that was fine.
I finally learned some Chinese swear words, so it's good to know.
It's always good to know. Yeah, no, he's been working hard on this, and again, you're a braver man than me, so I'm looking at that and just going, forget it. All right. Yeah, that was very good. That's awesome. I'll get those added to the slideshow, Johnny.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, Stuart, one thing I forgot to show was the cure station for the printer.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
I'll just quickly grab the camera and just.
Yep, go ahead. I'll spot it for you. I'll turn off my share. Mike, I see you posted here. Carol's with the stroke team right now, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. Finest team in the world, I reckon. Our team at LHSC. So she's in good hands, buddy.
Okay, here, this is the cure chamber that I made, and I made this from just foam core board, and it's roughly like 8 inches square and about 1 foot tall. And in the bottom here, that's one of those little mirrored turntables
Mhm.
so that I can put the model on it to cure. Because when they come out of the printer, where they're only 95% cured, you have to, once you remove them from the supports and do a little bit of cleanup on them, then you put it in here under this UV light. And that's just a bulb that I bought at Canadian Tire. Now you can buy these curing chambers, Jeff.
I wouldn't.
I don't know how much they are, but I made this one for about $30. So that's something to keep in mind. And on the inside is mylar foil from Lay's chip bags. So I had the pleasure of eating like 3 bags of chips, family size, which added to the cost of the cure station, but was more fun than just buying one. But anyway, you put the part in there to cure, and then that hardens it up a little bit more, so you can sand and file and prime and paint the part that you've printed. So anyway, just wanted to show you that.
Okay.
The ultimate scavenger, Ron.
Yeah, ever resourceful.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, like I say, it was fun eating all the chips as well.
Well,
What's your- what
exactly, you know.
flavor?
Eh?
What's your favorite flavor?
Oh, I just had a plain or sour cream and onion.
There you go. That's what my favorite is. So, all right.
I love sour cream and onion.
Does anyone else have anything else?
I had mail call this week.
You had a mail call? You want to quickly? You got well, we got a few minutes. It's fine. We unofficially end at 9, but I've set the recording for. Oh, I see what you got there. Hopefully Jeff's is on his way soon.
I'm not even looking at my screen. I'm not even looking.
Yeah,
Oh, you
so-
got
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Oh no.
So yeah, that
Wow.
game. Boy, it's beautiful. Like I've never built one of these Tacom kits, but it looks gorgeous. It just looks
Yeah.
gorgeous. So this will be interesting. This will be a lot of fun. I've got the Revell Germany of the other version of the Acrono plane too in the same scale. So that'll be fun to have the two side by side when they're all built.
So
Aren't they isn't someone coming out with a bigger scale model of that? I saw a little post on Facebook about that. I think it's 1/48 they're doing it.
Oh, I think people were pulling
Huge.
your leg.
Yeah, no, this is the newest one that came out. I think there were rumors it was going to be 1/48, but it didn't. It's 1 to 1/44 is still going to be like 16 inches long when it's done. It's 51 centimeters, whatever that is.
half a meter.
Yeah,
That's 20 inches.
20 inches. There you go.
Or if a guy's measuring it, it's 40 inches, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine what size that 1/48 would be. It'd be just
That'd be
incredible.
enormous. Yeah, it'd be absurd.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Well, you definitely got yours faster than I did. Richard says I'm still probably in some box somewhere in Long Beach.
Well, you're gonna love this, Jeff. It's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous.
Jeff, you're supporting the local hobby shop, so good for you.
I absolutely am supporting it. Yeah.
Good for you. I just wanted to point out, Michael's got for his wallpaper there. He's been working on that C-130. I don't know if he wants to talk about it or not, but it's just been gorgeous if you've been following along on our IPMS page or whatever. Michael, I don't know if you want to talk about it or not.
Yeah, it's the Italieri kit. It's going together quite well. Been using new to me these X series of Tamiya paints, and they're going down quite well. The red, as I call them, this is where I crashed panels. I use the X thinner, and I got a whole bunch of little riffly flecks in the paint. And when I shot the gray walkways, I went and used the Mr. Hobby, Mr. Color, whatever it is, 400, and it went down a lot nicer. So there's a lesson learned. The paint responds well to that leveling thinner. And I'm very pleased that I'm getting virtually no bleed through. and just having fun.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm not in the mood this evening to concentrate and work on it.
no,
So
obviously. I just wanted to point out because you had it as your wallpaper, and I've been following along. So yeah, you just keep us in the loop there about Carol.
oh yeah,
Well,
I'm pretty sure that as in the pictures, when the markings start to go on this thing, it's really going to start to pop.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
understood.
Because
Understood.
I have never seen in person this scheme on a Hercules.
Okay.
And I see, Michael, that you had to construct a larger spray booth for the
Yes.
ever larger models you're building.
Well, did you see my post of the big spray booth?
Yes, yeah.
It's working out quite well too. One of my non-scientific tests, I knew I obviously know the time when a PSW is going to be arriving. So I did some painting on this. Did my cleanup, and about 10 minutes later, the PSW came in. My first question was, "Do you smell any paint?" She dropped her mask and, "No."
Awesome.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. It works.
Okay, and your dad's fine. He's still building, or they're busy doing all the other stuff.
It's funny to listen to him complain about the fact that because they have more activities open up, he doesn't have time to build. And I'm going, Dad, that's fine.
Good for him.
We got you in the hobby to get you through to this point.
Yeah,
Now you're back to
exactly.
normal.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. So, all righty. Well, unless anyone else has anything, I'm going to formally close the formal part and start the recording. But the recording's set until 10 o'clock. So I'm just going to stop recording now.